This is episode 298 of the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and I'm joined by my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Hey, man, I hope you had an amazing 4th of July. Blew some things up, lit some things on fire.
Yeah, I did. I lit the grill on fire, and
Perfect.
And maybe a little bit of meat on said grill. Caught fire for a little bit, but just enough.
Just enough, yeah, for char, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Sounds like you were nailing it.
flavor enhancer.
Exactly. Who needs liquid smoke when you have actual smoke, right?
Yeah, and we got to watch a lot of things blow up. I think, I don't know if this was how it was in neighborhoods just around the country in general with so many things closed down, but it was a pretty good fireworks show just going out and sitting on my lawn.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm in city limits, so I mean.
Yeah. I ended up out in the woods and did not see one firework. I did not purchase one firework, and my life was just as good for it.
You know, it's a lot like when you get older and you don't necessarily need cake on your birthday.
Right. You need pie.
Right. You just change things as you get older. And maybe you don't need to have anything exploding directly from your hand, but you can enjoy other things.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, you don't need cake anymore. You get pie because pie's better.
Wow, we're starting off with hot takes that are already going to get people fired up. We are now guaranteed that first thumbs down on YouTube to come very quickly.
That was what it was? I thought we just had to put the thing up there, right? And then whoever does that just does that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, here's my quick argument why pie is way better than cake.
Uh-huh.
You cannot have cake a la mode. Have you ever heard it? Never. Nobody puts the ice cream on the cake. You can do that with pie if you were so inclined.
So you have never put ice cream directly on cake, or you're just saying that there's not a name for it?
I'm just saying that's not a practice that's done. Like, nobody will hand you a plate with a piece of cake with a scoop of ice cream directly on top of the cake.
Huh. I think
if you went to a restaurant and ordered a piece of cake a la mode, I don't know what the waitress would say.
It's okay. Well, I think there's going to be some people that disagree with this, but
they're probably ice cream cake people, like cake that's actually made out of ice cream.
Ice cream cake is generally horrible.
Really? You're not a fan?
No.
Oh, I kind of dig it.
I will take pie with ice cream over ice cream cake any day.
Okay.
And ice cream cake may be under, gosh, it's outside the top 10 on the dessert list.
All right. I had no idea. You know what's also outside of the top 10 of things for me? Signing Antonio Brown.
Yeah?
Yeah, don't want it. I can think of at least 10 other things I'd like the Seahawks to do first.
Okay, well, we got a lot of stuff to get to in this episode, Adam, and we could start with this right away. I know this is our Know Your Rival time of year, and we're going to get to the Rams, but we do have to cover some news topics. And this, to me, is maybe one of the most interesting ones from the last week because we saw Antonio Brown on Russell Wilson's practice field catching touchdowns from Russell Wilson.
Right.
How did that make you feel?
No, it made me feel icky on the inside. And look, didn't this happen last offseason as well? And maybe even the offseason before that?
I'm curious where this tie from Russell Wilson and Antonio Brown comes from.
They're both good at football and, want to practice a little bit.
Okay.
Or maybe Antonio Brown is one of those guys that Russell looks at and is just like, I got to try to help this guy somehow.
You feel like he's a project for Russell?
Yes. I think he's a challenge.
Yeah. That fits more within what I'm thinking.
Yeah, he's a fixer-upper.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people are excited about the idea of, because Antonio Brown was a Hall of Fame caliber wide receiver when he was in Pittsburgh with Roethlisberger, tearing it up, all pro seasons. And I think there's a lot of people that are fascinated by that idea, and we tend to forget about all the bad stuff that goes with it, not just the off the field stuff, but the on the field, quitting on his team. What was it, week 17, walking off the field one year, and so that kind of stuff bothers me too.
Yeah, doing karate kicks to faces of punters.
That doesn't bother me as much.
No, okay. Yeah.
I know punters are people too.
Yeah, there's a lot about Antonio's off the field behavior that is less than appealing. And honestly, after this team has worked so hard to get rid of all the hoopla, why would you bring hoopla back into the locker room? Why?
Because you know you can handle a little bit.
Oh,
and if Russell is dialed in, if he's been working with Antonio, and this is me making the case, thinking about the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Famer working with another future Hall of Famer. If Russell can rein that in, and so there is no hoopla, then maybe it's all good.
I give that a 3% chance of occurring. There being no hoopla. Then also, too, who are you taking off the field?
Yeah, it does.
Because he's an outside guy. So you're taking
you could put Tyler in the slot. I think I did see from PFF that he was the number 1 ranked slot receiver last season.
Okay. Well, maybe that's what you do then.
Yeah.
Then Dorsett's your 4?
Sure. Dorsett would be fine 4.
But yeah, I don't have a lot of interest in that. And I mean, there's not much to read into a workout. I mean, I don't know if everybody knew this, but he's not John Schneider and he doesn't hand out the contracts.
It's true.
So,
and AB apparently not asking for just the veteran minimum to come back. Like he expects to be paid when he comes back. And I think that would be a little bit of a hard time for the Seahawks to pull off, a $10 million plus offer and guaranteed money for Antonio Brown. That did not work out well with the Raiders.
There's no way I'm giving Antonio Brown one more guaranteed dollar than I have to.
Yeah. Well, you're not John Schneider either.
I know, but I have a feeling that I'm closer to John Schneider's thinking on this one.
Well, there was some other interesting news after we recorded last week. All this stuff comes out like the afternoon after we're done. And so now we have to wait. And I appreciate, our listeners giving us a little extended break around the holidays as we ramp up toward the 2020 season. Mm-hmm. And Jamal Adams was a big name that was out there. He released a list of about 8 teams that he'd be open to being traded to, and the Seattle Seahawks among those teams on his list.
Mm-hmm. What leverage does he have to force the Jets to trade him to one of those teams?
He does not have a lot of leverage because he's still under contract for at least 1 year. They could still put the 5th-year option on him. And then they could franchise tag him for another year if they wanted to.
Right. So the GM there, he can be like, I'm going to keep you, so eat it. Or he can be like, all right, you're going to be a cancer and all that, and I can probably get quite a bit from you. That list is real cute, but I'm going to go get what's best for the Jets, so have a nice time.
Sure.
That's it. Like, I don't understand why everybody got all excited about that list. Like, the GM is going to be like, oh, thank you, Jamal, for letting me know where I can or cannot trade you, even though I can do whatever I want. That's really nice.
Players, as it is, don't have a ton of leverage. And even under the new CBA, I feel like they have less leverage than they did before. So really, this is their one way of trying to get out from whatever deal that they're under. And Adams in that same class of Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes. And so they're eligible to get a new deal. We saw that Patrick Mahomes just got a huge deal. We'll get to that a little bit later as well. And so I think this is just the opportunity that they have to make noise about it in the offseason. We heard it from Michael Bennett every single offseason too. He never made enough money, and he either got an extension or he didn't. And so I think that's really the only opportunity that players have to make it known what they want.
Absolutely. I'm not saying he can't demand the trade or really even do the requesting about where he'd like to go. But I mean, really, the GM holds all the cards. So other than you're just going to pout and hold out and then lose checks, I mean, I just don't know what they have to hold over the GM's head. And sure, I mean, it's worked for a couple of guys. I mean, Ramsey forced his way out of Jacksonville a few years ago.
Right.
You've seen guys
just
do
last
it.
Year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure if I'm the GM of the Jets, I'm not trading one of the better safeties in the league unless it's for the best deal I can get, even if that team doesn't happen to be on Jamal's little list.
I think it at least puts those teams on notice, though, that you could go out and get them if you put the right offer on the table with the Jets.
What puts you on notice is that he's requested a trade at all. It doesn't matter if you're on the list or not. Like, if you're a GM for any one of the 32 teams, if you hear of an unhappy player, you are now on notice that you can make an offer.
Sure.
Now, whether or not it'll be entertained at all is a whole nother deal, but you don't need the player to come out and say, oh, you're on my preferred list of teams for you to be interested as a GM. I'm pretty sure John was already all over that.
Well, I think the difference is for the teams on that list, they would be the teams that he would be willing to sign a long-term deal with. And I don't think as a team you make this deal if you can't sign Jamal Adams long-term, because that's a lot to give up. It's like the Bears trading for Khalil Mack. You know, they had the deal in place when they gave up 2 first-round draft picks. And I think that's what would have to happen to get Adams. I don't know if it would take 2 first-round picks, but I think that's probably where the Jets are starting from. And it's at least going to take 1 first-round pick.
Yeah, it'll probably be something like a first and a third, first and a fifth, something like that. And you can have the rights to Jamal Adams to pay him a bunch of money. Now, I can guarantee you that more teams will appear on the list if they come up with a trade offer and they also say to Jamal Adams' agent, here's a boatload of freaking money.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I might be willing to go play for now. I don't know, the Colts. I can't remember all 5 teams that were on there.
Yeah, it was like 8, and I don't think the Colts were on it.
There you go.
But what would it take? So are you at least intrigued with Adams? So if the Seahawks, because, you know, first round picks doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
You throw in a first round pick from the Seahawks, throw in a third round pick as well. And let's say you have to give up Bradley McDougall or Marquise Blair, one of those guys. Would you make that trade for Jamal Adams?
Yeah, like if it was a first and a fifth and McDougall for Adams, yeah, I'd do that
you have to pay him top. You have to make him the highest paid safety.
That's fine. I'll pay safeties.
Okay.
I think that's what I've learned over the last few years in the league about the positions you pay and don't pay, right? Obviously, you pay your quarterback. You really don't give out big deals to running backs, Rams. You've kind of learned where you should spend money. When it comes to the defense, it's edge rusher. We've seen people try to pay defensive tackle huge money. And while, you know, J.J. Watt's been a good player for his whole career, like he got one of those first mega contracts, right?
Yeah.
And they've done diddly squat as a team.
Yeah. Gerald McCoy, one of the guys to get a big contract before that for the Bucks, and they never did anything while he was there.
Aaron Donald got his big contract, and now the Rams stink. Although out of all the faults of the Rams there, I'm not sure that was their largest sin, but I do know that I don't pay corners, especially in Seattle, huge money.
Yeah.
But I'll pay safeties just because they're so valuable in both phases of defense, you know, whether that's in the run game or the pass game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a guy that I would definitely entertain paying.
Yeah. And as many people have pointed out, Jamal Adams had more sacks than anybody. If he were on the Seahawks last year, he would have led the team in sacks.
Yeah. Not a huge feat. I mean, let's not blow that out of proportion.
Yeah,
but
right. Four, beating 4 is not super difficult, but for a safety, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Maybe that would be the pass rush help that we need.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, the other news, Josh Gordon, wide receiver for the Seahawks last year, free agent right now, applied for reinstatement to the league.
Hope he gets reinstated. And then after that, I don't really much care.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm rooting for him, but just, you see a movie enough times, right?
I mean, it's even go back to last year. It was clear that the Seahawks didn't want to put themselves as a team in the position to have to count on him and needing him going forward. And it was a good thing that they did that. That's
exactly right.
All right, Adam. Well, we have 2 big QB items to talk about, but let's save that for after the Rams discussion. Okay. And because I want to get into another quarterback chat with regard to the Rams. And, you know, if you've tuned into our Know Your Rivals series in the past, you would know that generally we bring on podcasters from other teams. We've had James and Bear on the last couple years, back when they did the Rams podcast. Bear now doing the Locked On Rams podcast, and James is busy being a dad. And plus, if you go back and listen to the show last year, Adam, those guys had a credibility issue. Like, they tried to tell us that the Rams were going to be good last season, and we tried to tell them that they weren't. And I felt like they didn't want to have a discussion about it or even listen to what we had to say about how wrong they were.
Yeah, and it turns out that they were pretty terrible for the most part, the Rams, and pretty much for all the reasons in which that we had brought forth, right? So it makes discussing the Rams' upcoming future here this year kind of interesting, because I've heard a few Rams people talk about, well, I mean, sure, we lost all these dudes, but you saw Seattle lose all their dudes in 1 year, and then they were still good. And it was like, well, yeah, well, we lost a lot of those guys throughout the course of a season, still managed to play well, showed that we could still play well. So then we had optimism going into the next year. See, you're on a downward trend where last year you still had all those dudes. They all played for the most part.
And still missed the playoffs.
And still missed the playoffs. And really got lucky that you even had a chance to sniff the playoffs with your season the way it was. And now this year, you've lost a whole ton of guys that could play a little bit. And I'm supposed to believe that somehow they're going to be better? These guys are finishing last in the division this year.
You know, it's not that strange to think that, even if they generally stay healthy, because let's run down the list of all the departures from the Rams last year.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley, the running back that they paid so much money to. Not only is he gone and now with the Falcons, but they're paying him almost $10 million this year to not, or maybe they aren't going to pay him. I don't know what the Rams are doing. But he's owed $10 million from the Rams this year. And then he's owed like $7 or $8 million next year in 2021. So that's how bad of a decision they made.
Paying him 2 years early.
Yeah. So he's gone. And a big part of what they did in the past. Now they do have some other running backs that could come in and fill in behind him. But Eric Weddle retired. We all know how Adam feels about Eric Weddle.
Who? He's another who guy. Yeah. No, he's one of those guys that has always been unbelievably overrated his entire career. And so a league average safety retired. They lost a league average safety.
Yeah. Although, I was listening to an interview with Ugo Amadi, and he was talking about there was one thing that Weddle did really well that he watched Weddle tape on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't remember what the one thing was, but there was one thing.
How to tie your shoelaces?
No, it was a football thing.
Oh, okay.
Clay Matthews left from the Rams this offseason. Nickel Roby-Coleman went to the Eagles. And Greg Zuerlein went to the Cowboys. How about that?
That's a big one, too.
Yeah. They have some CFL kicker that came and tried out for the Seahawks, and the Seahawks didn't sign him after Janikowski left. And that's who's kicking for the Rams now.
Well, okay. According to PFF, there are 3 kickers currently on the roster. Samuel Sloman, everybody knows and is very familiar with.
Of course.
Yeah. And Austin McGinnis, but it's not Mick like MC Guinness. It's Mac Guinness. Mac Guinness.
Mac. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. And then Lyrium Hajrullah Lahu.
I think that's the CFL dude.
Right. And I've actually seen Rams fans say, well, it's not that big of a deal when, losing Greg the Leg, like, we didn't want to pay him that money anyways, and his back may be screwed up. So whatever. It's not that big of a deal. I don't really care. They're going to have a come to Jesus like that, like all of us did when Hauschka walked out the door. And we struggled there for a bit, and we lost a bunch of games because of kicker.
Yeah. And ask the 49ers how important it is to have a kicker who's healthy during the season, and because they lost the game to Seattle in Week 10 last year because they had a kicker that couldn't get it through the uprights.
Yep, that hurt them as well. So yeah, I mean, some big losses there. Not to mention some of the coaching losses. I mean, they got rid of Wade Phillips.
Yeah,
the only adult on that team.
Yeah,
and then they got rid of the special teams coach too, Fossil.
Oh,
like he's been there, kind of ace in the hole for a long time.
Going back to the Jeff Fisher days.
Yeah. One of the few holdovers. I think that's a sneaky, big departure that nobody's talking about.
No, I didn't even know he was gone. Why would you get rid of that guy?
I don't know. They cleaned house. I think they were trying to get all dudes younger than McVay. So I think they've got actual 12-year-olds as coordinators now.
Oh, he went to Dallas.
Yeah.
Well, we aren't even through the list of all the departed players yet. And I'm not talking about scrubs either. Corey Littleton went to the Raiders. Dante Fowler went to the Falcons.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks was traded to the Texans.
Bye.
That's a lot of guys.
It's a lot of guys. I mean, that's a good, third of your starters?
Easy.
Right there that you're rolling over? And really,
a third of your special teams specialists.
Yeah.
5 starters on defense. Well, Clay Matthews maybe wasn't a starter. He may have been a rotational piece.
Yeah, he was more of a rotational piece. All he can really do now is rush from the edge, but that's okay.
And then 2 of your top weapons with Gurley and Cooks.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you start reading the names that are going to replace this production. I mean, they bring in Leonard Floyd from the Bears. Woo.
Yeah. He was a guy that I wanted for Seattle, though.
Yeah, and he's captain average, man.
Yeah, for $1 million, for 1 year, $10 million, I'll take Bruce Irvin.
Yes, absolutely. How in the world did Roby Coleman end up on the Eagles for $1.3 million 1 year?
I don't know. That makes no sense to me.
Did Howie Roseman have blackmail material on him? Like, how did that happen? How did the Rams let that happen?
Well, they cut him.
I don't get it. That was a really odd move. And really, to hear a lot of the Rams fans talk, the loss that hurts them the most is Littleton. That's the one that seems to really gut almost all of them. And he was kind of their Swiss Army knife, do everything, be in on all the plays guy. That's the one that they all feel like they're going to miss the most.
Yeah, and their 2 biggest signings, because you mentioned Floyd, Ashawn Robinson, the defensive tackle from the Lions, the guy that they gave the most money to come in from outside the Rams. But then they brought back Michael Brockers after he left and then came back. Because wasn't he supposed to go to Baltimore and then they failed him on his physical, and so he went back to the Rams.
Is that what eventually happened? I just knew the contract had fallen through.
Yeah.
And somehow he ended up back with the Rams.
Yeah, he ended up back with the Rams. And then Andrew Whitworth back with the Rams on a 3-year deal worth $30 million. Although it's probably more like 1 year, $7 million.
Yes, it's probably more like that. And if you're a Rams fan, you better be praying to the gods and thanking them for bringing Whitworth back, because honestly, the rest of that offensive line is a dumpster fire, an absolute dumpster fire, especially in pass protection, man. They were god awful last year, and Whitworth even took a step back last year because even Andrew Whitworth, finally Father Time's catching up with him a little bit. He's played at a high level for a long time. He's the one guy on that team that I can't really dog that much because I actually like him.
No, but he's 38 years old.
Yeah, he's ancient. You know, I think when I look at this Rams team, their Achilles heel all year is going to be that offensive line. And unfortunately for them, or fortunately for us, Jared Goff is not the kind of guy that can make up for terrible offensive line play. It's not his game.
No, and so that is why they're going to have to. That's why they're going to struggle this year, because even if Cooper Kupp is looking like he's coming back and is going to be his old self, even with a guy like Robert Woods.
No, wait. I heard Cooper Kupp last year was faster than ever and was going to light the league on fire. That's what I was told.
No, but now he injured his ACL and he's coming back even faster than he was before when he had a healthy CL.
Right. Yeah. This is the same crap you hear every time with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp, fine player. Not amazing. Moving on.
He's fine. Yeah. Robert Woods, I feel like he's going to continue to be kind of the another go-to guy for Jared Goff.
He's their number one. There's no doubt. Robert Woods is. He's their best player. I mean, and you saw Higbee play really well last year. And you saw the Rams kind of shift more from that, the 11 personnel thing, one back, and 3 receivers to 2 tight ends and 1 back. And they ran a lot out of that, and that seemed to be McVay's adjustment for the whole league catching up with them. Taking the Belichick blueprint. But you can only run those mesh concepts across the middle because that's the only thing Goff can throw so many times. and the rest of the league has figured it out. And so he dumped his whole coaching staff and is hoping that somehow they're going to get better after losing a whole crap ton of dudes and a real playmaker in Brandon Cooks, even though he missed a few games with concussions last year anyways.
Yeah, that reminds me, Kevin O'Connell is going to take over some of the OC duties. It sounds like McVay is still going to call the plays for the Rams, but they got Kevin McConnell from Washington. The
prolific Washington Redskins offense.
Oh, speaking of news, that may not be their name coming up this year.
Yeah, we'll see.
Brandon Staley, who coached the linebackers in Denver, he's going to be the defensive coordinator for the Rams.
That was a legit who for me. Yeah. I've never heard of that dude ever.
Well, you tend to know some of the defensive coordinators, but for a team that you don't follow to know their linebackers coach, I mean, pick any team in the league and tell me who their linebacker coach is.
Right. Yeah,
I don't even know if I know the Seahawks linebacker coach.
Lofa?
No, he's not with the team anymore.
No, I don't know. See, there you go.
There's somebody listening. There's a diehard Seahawks fan that knows.
Oh, I'm sure. There's going to be a few comments that say we're idiots because somehow we don't know. We're not.
Why do you guys even talk about Seahawks football if you don't have the Seahawks linebacker coach in the top of your mind and you're showing your ignorance, Adam? Because they're gonna call you out. They aren't gonna call me out.
No, that's exactly true because that's how that goes, and that's fine. I don't mind, but yeah, I don't know the linebackers. I didn't know the linebackers coach in Denver. It feels like this is a season that the Rams are legitimately grasping at straws. They did put themselves in a giant hole with all those big contracts. Did they end up re-upping Ramsey yet?
No, they still have to pay him or find a way to.
Yeah, good luck with that. And do you even do that? And I hope they do, because honestly, I do believe that we're at a time in football where you don't overpay for corners. I just wouldn't do it.
I think they're going to do it.
I bet they will.
The linebackers coach for the Seahawks, John Glenn, not the astronaut John Glenn.
Oh,
but another guy with the same name.
Okay. Well, I hope Coach Glenn also becomes an astronaut too. It seems to be his namesake. He should do it.
What's he doing coaching in Seattle?
I don't know, but he's doing a good job. Our linebackers are good.
You know, I could probably coach Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright. I feel like I'd be okay at that.
Yeah, I feel like I could wear the title, right? Yeah. Now, how much actual coaching I would give them, that remains to be seen. But,
hey, Bobby, what you've been doing, just keep doing that.
Keep doing that. You know what I really like what you did last game? Tackled everybody.
Keep doing that.
Yeah, keep doing that. Keep being awesome.
Well, going back to the Rams wide receivers, they are getting a little bit of help through the draft. They drafted Van Jefferson out of Florida. He was a guy that I liked a little bit, and they got him with the 57th overall pick in round 2.
Mm-hmm.
They also helped out their offense a little bit going with Cam Akers, the running back out of Florida State, in round 2.
No, they didn't. They did not help out their offense with that pick. I'm sorry, man. Like, that was one of the dudes that you had floated to me via text before the draft of like possible Seahawks running backs.
Now, he was on
Cam Akers.
Before you start putting this on me, like I loved him.
No, I'm not saying this was you. You were hearing other people talk about it. Like, hey, this would be a guy to check out. Yeah. And
I checked this dude out. And see, this could be a situation, though, where I only checked out last year's tape and he was either running into a wall of defenders or running outside in space and doing a pretty good job running away from guys. But that's hard to tell exactly how a guy is going to be in the NFL. When I watch college players, I like to see guys who can get through the line, bust a few tackles, at least get 3 or 4 yards when a dude gets a hand on him. And that's not what I saw from Cam Akers.
Not at all, man. He doesn't have much for wiggle. It's one cut and go. And it either has to be a massive hole that you can drive a truck through, or it's a no game. That's it with him.
That's what I saw.
Me too, man. That was tape that I was totally unimpressed with, and I couldn't help but laugh hysterically when that was the Rams' first draft pick with number 54. Then they picked up Jefferson with the 57 pick. That was the pick that they got back in the Cooks trade.
Right.
And just like you, man, I actually like Jefferson a little bit. I think that he can help.
I think he'll be the second best wide receiver out of Florida in the division this year, but that's fine.
Clearly.
But A.J. Dillon was still out there, and he went to the Packers.
There's no way I would have spent a draft pick on Cam Akers. I just wouldn't have.
No, there were so many guys that we liked a whole lot more in the running back class that went in the third round.
Yeah.
Hopefully they screwed that one up. Hopefully you and I are good enough at evaluating running backs to know that we're right.
Well, I know I've got a decent track record when it comes to talking about which running backs will be good, which running backs will be bad, Eddie Lacy. So I think I've got a little bit of credibility there.
Yeah. You've done all right especially with Eddie Lacy.
Yeah. I just don't see it out of Cam Akers. That would be a draft pick that would very much disappoint me if I was a Rams fan. Also, I'm not sure what they're doing. You missed this offseason departure. I don't know what they're doing at backup QB because Blake Bortles is gone, Brandon.
Oh, my gosh. How did I forget about Bortles being gone?
Yeah.
Yeah, the backup quarterback spot behind Goff is really important.
Yeah, because they may have to bench him by week 5.
Oh, they're not doing that. They're paying Goff way too much money to put him on the bench.
I don't know, man.
Jared Goff's cap hit for this year, according to SpotTrack, it's according to SpotTrack.
No, you got it right, man. When you said SpotTrack, I was wrong for years calling it SpotTrack because I thought it was about sports contracts. So SpotTrack made sense to me, but it turns out it is SpotTrack. So apparently it's about hot tubs and not sports contracts. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah. So they've got a cap hit of $28 million this year, $34 million next year for Jared Goff. And they're not going to be able to get out from under his contract until 2022.
That hurts. Now, the interesting thing is that we know exactly what we're going to get out of Jared Goff in 2020. We actually do because there's a track record there.
Yeah.
So let me throw out a couple numbers for you here that over the last couple years that I find interesting when it comes to Goff. Year that he went to the Super Bowl, completed 64.9% of his passes. That was his good year, right? He was almost MVP.
64%.
Yeah. Now, last year when he was terrible Goff, when everybody finally saw the actual player that he was, 62.9. So a whole 2% different in the completion percentage. Pretty close.
Still pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. So Super Bowl year, when he was an MVP caliber player in the running, threw for 4,688 yards. Last year, when he was a hot pile of trash, threw for 4,638 yards.
So you're gonna pencil him in for 4,600 yards.
Yeah, I am. Super Bowl year, second greatest quarterback in the whole league, threw 12 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, when I think even his mom wanted to see somebody else behind center for the Rams, 16 picks. Only 4 picks difference.
Wow. That touchdown number was different, though, because I remember you and Bear had the bet of the touchdowns and interceptions counted against touchdowns, and yeah. You wiped the floor with behind Russell Wilson.
So, Super Bowl year, he threw for 32 touchdowns, which were a lot of screens to Gurley before his knee fell off, right? And he threw 22 last year. That was the big difference.
Yeah, 22. That's huge.
And I'm not seeing the extra added playmakers on offense to get him back to that 32 touchdowns a year. I mean, he hasn't thrown over 30 touchdowns except for one time in his career, one season. So I think you can pencil him in for 63% completion rate, 4,600 yards, 20 to 25 touchdowns, 12 to 15 interceptions.
Yeah, somewhere in double digits.
That's where you're at with him. He's the same exact guy. And it's hilarious to me that when he was throwing up those big numbers, we were like, he's this generation's Joe Flacco. He stinks. He stinks. And we were trying to tell everybody that he stank. And nobody would believe us, right? Uh-huh. And yet he puts up the same exact season, more or less, last year. And now everybody's like, oh, I see. He actually stinks.
I think that people are counting on Sean McVay, though, to somehow open things up for him in terms of the offense a lot like what San Francisco's doing for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that's what's expected.
They're opening up the offense for Garoppolo? You mean the guy they only let throw like 3 times in the NFC Championship game?
And I don't mean opening up, but at least scheming players open is how I mean opening up. Like providing him with open guys to throw to.
Well, yeah, he did that for a little while, and then everybody caught on to the mesh concept, and everything going off play action off the zone read. It's simplistic. Like everybody figured, they were like, oh, wow, oh, this is all he's really doing. All this motion and everything is just to dress up the fact that he's doing the same freaking thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Belichick figured it out. He snuffed the life out of it, and the rest of the league was like, oh, thanks, Bill. Got it. And now they've done diddly poo ever since.
Yeah.
And then I love a Ram fan who they're like, well, we got Darrell Henderson in the second round last year, and now we got Cam Akers. Like, we're going to resurrect that running game with our craptastic offensive line with a running back we drafted in the second round last year that didn't do catfish after Gurley was still hurt. And then they drafted a guy who can't play. Well, good luck with that running game, and then have to put it on Jared Goff's awkward ass throwing motion behind an offensive line in which he'll be constantly under duress.
So I think 8-8 still could be where the Rams could finish. I think that's possible.
That's their ceiling.
Yeah, I think that's their ceiling.
That's their ceiling. Their floor is more like 4-12.
I have a hard time seeing them go 4-12, especially with some of the talent they have. I think even if Goff puts up those numbers with Kupp, you got Aaron Donald on the other side, you got some, decent talent throughout the back end of the defense.
I don't give a crap who the wide receivers are. It could be Randy Moss and Jerry Rice, right?
Sure.
And it wouldn't matter. Goff isn't going to be able to throw the ball with any sort of efficiency behind that offensive line.
Yeah.
We've seen this story. We know who he is. And he's not Russ. He can't just mask it by doing scribble plays. It's just not in him. No. He gets a little flustered. He's a lot like Sam Bradford in that way. Got a huge contract. A guy who is, if everything is on schedule, pretty deadly. But if it's not, he's a disaster. He's an absolute disaster. And you talk about, well, they've still got talent on that team. Okay, sure. Yeah, on defense, like their defensive line is the group that you look at and you go, there's talent there between Donald, Brockers. I mean, Floyd, so. Yeah. Robinson's okay.
Right.
Sure. But then what? Their linebackers, good luck naming one. They're counting on guys they drafted in the 7th, 5th round over the last 2-3 years when Snead's been crap at drafting.
Even when they did have Littleton, the Super Bowl season, it was relatively no-name type of guys. I feel like they're going to be okay at linebacker. It's having John Johnson, who I don't think they're going to be able to keep beyond this season. I think he's going into the last year of his deal.
And he's not good.
He's okay.
Yeah, he's on the bottom end of okay. And Taylor Rapp, their best guy back there at safety, he's on the middle tier of okay.
He has some upside though.
He's okay.
And then at corner, obviously you have Jalen Ramsey, and then Troy Hill is opposite him.
Well, who's a big question mark, man?
Right.
They've never played him for a full season out there. I have no idea what you're going to get with that guy.
No.
And then some kid named Long Jr., which seems like an oxymoron, but yeah, at their nickel corner. There's nothing on that defense other than Aaron Donald that makes me go, hey, they've got a fighting chance.
If they can't get to the quarterback, they're going to be getting beat.
Yeah.
Cameron DeSilva, he ranked the 6 best moves of the Rams offseason. And I think we've already talked about a couple of these, but just to go in the order of their 6 best moves. Number 6, re-signing Andrew Whitworth.
Okay.
And that was, that was a good move. Because if they didn't have Whitworth,
their best one. That might be their best one.
Might be their best one. Well, let's go on to the 5th best one. Drafting Terrell Lewis from Alabama and then Terrell Burgess. So they went double Terrells in round 3 of the NFL draft. I don't know that much about Burgess, but I do know that Terrell Lewis, I was talking to Brent Taylor, a Seahawks fan. He does the Roll Bama Roll site for SB Nation.
Interesting.
And I was talking to him ahead of the draft, and he was saying that he would rather have Anthony Jennings, who is, less of an athletic freak, but more of a reliable type of player. He was saying he would rather have Jennings over Terrell Lewis. And then even though, Lewis had the freakish measurables, he was the one that the Rams picked. And 3 picks later, the New England Patriots took Anthony Jennings. So how do you think that's going to go?
I think it's going to go exactly how we all think it's going to go. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So as soon as I saw that, I was happy that the Rams made the decision that they did, and a little bit unhappy that, maybe the Seahawks didn't take Jennings.
Right.
Number 4 on the list, signing A'Shaun Robinson, the 2-year, $17 million deal.
I can see why that's on the list, but I would still put Whitworth above that.
Sure. Number 3, bringing back Austin Blythe.
A dude who's totally on the decline.
Yeah.
It was one of the worst offensive linemen in football last year. He was terrible.
Yeah. But
that's a terrible move.
Do you have his PFF numbers pulled up?
Oh, I can find it here real quick for you because they stink.
I guess maybe the one good thing you could say about Blythe is that at least they're bringing back some continuity, right, with him and Whitworth.
Sure. Here's the continuity of Austin Blythe's career, right? Okay. According to PFF. In 2016, he got an overall grade of 35.3. That's abysmal.
Right.
That's like in the, oh my God, why are you in the league?
That's below Jermaine Ifedi numbers.
Yes. 2017, 51.8. That's right about Jermaine Ifedi numbers.
Right.
Okay. Then 2018, the Super Bowl year.
Okay.
Magically was a slightly above average 73.4.
Which year was that?
2018.
So that was his first full year as a starter.
Right. And then last year, 50.3 overall, right about Jermaine Ifedi numbers. So one of these things doesn't look like the other. One of these things just not quite the same. Yeah. Out of his illustrious 4-year career, he's had one good one and 3 craptastic ones. I have a feeling I know who this player is at this point.
So without Roger Saffold to his left, he was not good.
He was not good. That was the end of his deal being productive.
So that was number 3. So
Okay,
there's only 2 more better moves that the Rams could make above that one.
I'm sure one of them has to be no more Gurley, right?
One of them is no more Gurley. That is number 1. So you guessed that one. Number 2 on the list, hiring Kevin O'Connell as the new offensive coordinator.
Sure, the guy who's not even going to call plays.
It says McVay has expressed a desire to be more involved on defense, which he'll be able to do now that O'Connell will be there to work with the offense.
Yeah, sure.
So now McVay can go into more defensive meetings, I guess.
Great. Let's divide his attention even further from the side of the ball that he was actually good at for like 2 years until the league figured him out. So he doesn't put enough time into, redoing his offense now. That's great.
It's interesting that he would make the decision that Wade Phillips, a veteran in the NFL, who's coached a Super Bowl level defense, and really got another defense with the Rams to the Super Bowl, that he would say, you know what, I can do defense better than that guy. I'm gonna fire Wade Phillips. I'm gonna bring on a linebacker coach from the Broncos, and I'm gonna be more involved on defense. That's how brilliant I am.
There's the arrogance of frat boy McVay, right? And that's the thing, man. I genuinely believe that this season is gonna be pretty rough for them. Again, I'm looking at 6-10. That's my guess for them. This is my official prediction for the Rams head coach entering the 2020 season. By the end of the 2021 season, we're all going to be talking about if McVay's going to get one more year or if they're going to fire him.
It's interesting that you bring that up because, well, I'm going to get into it later. I do have a theory as to how this could potentially be McVay's last season with the Rams.
This season. Interesting.
This season. It could be.
Well, all right. We can expound on that in a bit then. But yeah, I think
it has to do with my better at life.
Okay. I think his days are legit numbered in LA. They went all in for that 1 year, and then they overpaid the two guys they shouldn't have overpaid. Not that it's all McVay's fault, because a lot of that's the GM, right?
McVay is going to end up being a really good coach for another GM.
He's going to be a really good offensive coordinator on another team.
No, I think he's going to be a guy that holds on as a coach. If Gase can go from being the disaster he was in Miami and then go up to New York, I think McVay gets another head coaching job before he ends up having to be an OC again.
I guess. I mean, Gase also was in Miami. Who's winning there?
I think they're about to start winning.
Well, yeah, now that they changed the whole thing over and he's not dealing with the crappy GM he was dealing with.
Well, something to think about. I do want to look at, you said 6-10 overall, but I want to start with the first 4 games of the Rams season.
That's going to be tough.
This is a difficult stretch for them. They open up at home against the Cowboys in prime time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
in their brand new stadium.
In their brand new stadium, which could most likely be empty.
Yep.
And not because they have 0 fans, but because Cowboys fans won't be allowed to come either.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the big defining moment there, yeah.
I wonder how many Cowboys fans would be there for that week 1 game.
What's the capacity of the stadium?
I have no idea.
Like 70,000?
Sure.
69,832.
Right.
And then there'd be, the people who pretend to be Rams fans.
So they start up against the Cowboys. That's most likely going to be a loss.
Yeah.
Then they go on the road to the Eagles. An early game on the road. That's going to be a loss.
The Roby Coleman revenge game?
I think that's how they're going to build that one.
That's exactly how
that should be prime time. Why is that in an early AM slot?
It's tough selling Goff.
Yeah. Then they may as well stay on the East Coast because it's up to the Bills in the following week.
Yeah, that defense is going to smash
Goff against the Bills defense.
Nope. Not that offensive line against that Bills defense. Good luck.
And then they're back home against the Giants for week 4. So that might be where they get their first win.
That's a 50-50 proposition right there.
I'm going to give them that one. I'm going to say they're 1-3 after 4 weeks.
I'd give them the Redskins game the following week.
In week 5?
Yeah.
Wow, you think they go on the road? I don't know if I give them that one. You got Riverboat Ron handling things now in Washington.
Doesn't matter. Is Dan Snyder still the owner?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that makes them unable to beat the Rams?
That makes them unable to win on any sort of consistent basis.
There's a chance, though.
I mean,
they won a few games last year.
I guess statistically speaking, you're right. There's a chance.
It's a chance. So I think this is probably going to be a more realistic outlook for the Rams season than we would have gotten from James and Bear.
It feels more accurate
already. Do you
already.
think that they would have ever said 6-10? I bet I could text James and say, what's your prediction right now for the Rams season?
They'll say 9-7.
You think so?
9-7 or 10-6. I promise you.
Because that's the optimistic.
I say delusional, but however you want to put it.
Well, how about I send James a text? I'll see if he responds to me by the end of the show, and we can hear what the official prediction from James will be.
Okay. Well, if I'm just looking at their schedule here, I predict through 8 weeks they will be 2-6.
Wow. I haven't looked all the way through week 8.
Okay, we just went through the first 4 weeks. So Cowboys, Eagles, Bills, Giants.
And then Washington.
Then Niners at Niners.
Yeah, that's a loss.
Yeah, it's a big time loss. I mean, that's just such a huge mismatch, their D-line against the Rams offensive line. And then Bears come to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Khalil Mack is going to eat their lunch.
Offense is going to struggle, though.
Nick Foles will do better than Trubisky.
Okay.
Then Dolphins on the road. I think that might be a win for him.
Okay.
But I could see Brian Flores pulling one out of the hat there. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I only see 2 wins, Redskins and Dolphins, man.
Best case 3-5. They beat the Giants.
It's going to be a tough year for these guys, man.
Well, they don't face the Seahawks until week 10 and week 16.
So in week 10, we get to eliminate them from playoff contention?
That could be. So the Seahawks in week 10, it would be their second of 2 back-to-back road games against the Rams in week 10. I don't know if that matters much. And then week 16 is the home game against the Rams on December 27th. So closing out the season.
Yep, them and
the Niners.
The Niners
for Seattle. Yeah, down in San Fran for that final week 17 game.
That could be fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, you bet. You bet. We'll have a lot to talk about the Niners when we finish up our Know Your Rivals series with that dirty team down in the Bay. But it is fun to watch the Rams unravel, and mostly by their own doing, so quickly. It just shows you how difficult it is to stay as a winning franchise in the playoffs year after year and be very competitive like the Seahawks have here in the Pete Carroll era, right? And everybody, oh, get rid of Pete. He's a dinosaur. Can't have him.
Yep.
Well, okay. Do you want Pretty Boy McVay and this downward spiral into craptastic? Or would you rather have the amazing consistency that Pete Carroll has brought? I'm curious as to what James has told us his prediction for the record.
Yeah, well, you see me smiling?
I do.
10-6.
Yeah. Did you text him back? Does that mean like 10-6?
No, I said 10 losses, 6 wins.
Is that a league where like every quarterback in the league except for Goff is sick with Corona the whole season?
You don't know what's going to happen.
10-6.
You can be optimistic however it comes to be in your mind.
Not only that, but then they got to suffer this new craptastic logo and their stupid new unis.
Yes, we are going to get to that. We even though we're getting to the second half of the show, Adam, we are not done with the Rams.
No.
Getting into the second half of the show, and you know, it's funny that you teased the idea of the stadium and the uniforms going into the break, because just in that short period of time, I hear back from James in my response of 10 losses, 6 wins. And he says, LOL, not with a new stadium and new uniforms. So those are the reasons that the Rams are going to go from 6 wins to 10 wins.
Right. Yeah. Well, when you're hanging your hat on that sort of stuff and a bunch of linebackers drafted in the 5th and 7th round and a bunch of offensive linemen that are legit worse than ours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's saying something. You know, good luck with that. And I almost forgot to finish out the first half of the show with something. Catfish! The Rams.
Yes. And Catfish! The 4 Racka.
Yeah.
The rest of the division.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If you're a Rams fan and you've been, looking up to the north at the Seahawks and saying, well, hey, the Seahawks went from 7-9 to being in the playoffs, in the divisional round up against the Falcons the year that they changed their uniforms. And
right.
So they're starting off a whole 2 wins ahead of where Seattle was.
Right.
And so they're almost guaranteed to be a Super Bowl team just on the strength of, because not only did they just get new uniforms like Seattle did in that from 2011 to 2012, they're also doing the new stadium. So
it's going to be a big boost for them. Even if the fans are allowed to come to the game. I mean, I can't see those rowdy LA fans really making a huge impact on the outcomes of football games. If
there are fans on opening day, there will be more Cowboys fans in that stadium.
Guaranteed.
I would put money on that.
I would too. You can't all be cool and be a 12. There's other teams that people have to be fans of, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I know your dad's a big fan of the Chiefs.
He is.
He's got to be fired up with this Patrick Mahomes news.
If I were a Chiefs fan and part of the Chiefs organization, I'd be thrilled with this deal. If I'm Patrick Mahomes' future heirs or his agent, I would wonder what the hell is going on here.
Well, there's about 450 million reasons why he took the deal that he did.
Okay.
I mean, it's not very often as an NFL player you can say that you signed the richest contract in sports.
Not the richest contract in sports, because baseball.
No, right? I think this eclipses all American sports.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is the richest contract in sports. But as an NFL player, it's not often you can say that because of baseball contracts.
Baseball. Right. You're right. Because they give 10-year contracts regularly.
Right. Exactly. For like no reason. This is, if you're Patrick Mahomes, I don't understand this at all. I really don't. Because we're going to learn a lot about Patrick Mahomes' character and why he signed this deal in about 4 years. When we all look at this deal and go, oh my stars, how is Patrick Mahomes the 27th highest paid quarterback in football?
Well, he just does what Aaron Rodgers does, because didn't Rodgers sign like a 6-year contract? And so with 2 years left on his deal, he's just trying to get himself as the highest paid quarterback. Isn't that what he was doing for a few years?
Yeah, but he had to go through 4 years of that deal. Like, if you're the GM of the Kansas City Chiefs on year 4 of this deal, Patty comes back to you and says, hey man, we need to redo my deal. Mm-hmm. I'm not redoing your deal with 6 years left on it.
We'll see.
Nope, that's not happening, dude.
Well, the thing is, when you have a contract of this length, the signing bonus, you can only spread that out still over 5 years.
Right.
That gives them more room on the back end to go, okay, add another year to spread out signing bonus.
Maybe. I mean, or maybe this is Patrick Mahomes, looking across the table at his GM there and saying, you know what? I'm committed to the Chiefs. I want to help us win. I saw how Tom Brady won championships. He was flexible with his contract. By locking me in at $450 million, 140 guaranteed. I know that that's as much as I need in my life, and I'm happy with that. And we can go forward. And so by year 5 or 6 of this, I'm only making 45 a year, and the other quarterbacks are making 65, 75 million a year. We'll be able to be more competitive. We'll be able to bring in more guys through free agency. Maybe this is his way of doing that.
And if that's the case, can we go ahead and sign Russell Wilson to an 11-year extension by the start of the season?
There we go.
Come on, Russ. Now the pressure's on you.
Right. I don't know. That's a weird deal, man. I think the longest football contract I've ever noticed before was 7 years.
Yeah, I think it was Calvin Johnson had a 7-year deal.
Yeah. Nobody's happy with the really long-term deals after they sign.
Look at Julio. He's been complaining about his deal the last few years.
Shoot, we just watched The Last Dance, through quarantine here, most of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scottie Pippen's deal that he signed, big ass long deal, and then was butthurt that he might have been the second best player in the league, but making tiddlywinks.
I think if you're Patrick Mahomes, that's what you're looking at this, right? And saying that this is maybe my best opportunity to win long term. And same with the Chiefs.
I guess so.
Zeus gets paid.
Yeah. He's going to throw some more thunderbolts this year.
He is the god of football.
For the moment, anyways.
Oh, yeah. Well, the fact that Russ was the highest paid quarterback in football for as long as he was, that was it over a year.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, another quarterback news. Oh, should we go to the quarterback news or the cornerback news?
Well, let's go corner first and then QB second, because everybody else puts QBs on a pedestal.
Okay.
Right?
Inside the division, we have a big signing by the San Francisco 49ers. They have signed former Seahawks cornerback Jamar Taylor to a 1-year deal.
Oh, okay. Well, they'll warm the bench for them too.
So Richard Sherman on notice now.
Yeah, right.
But the other big signing, Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Going to the New England Patriots. Who saw that coming?
I don't know, Brandon. Who could have possibly seen that coming?
I feel like we talked about this even before Cam was cut.
Yep, we surely did. And there he is in New England. Bill Belichick gets to play offense in a totally different way. I think he was sick and tired of statue quarterback play, and he was ready to join the new era of football. And so he was like, oh, I can get Cam Newton for a song for a year. Okay. I think I can deal with his stupid hats. And so that's what he did. And he signed him. Now, I'm already tired of Cam. Like, he's already like this guy. I mean, he just can't hold it together. Today on social media, puts out a little video on Instagram.
Oh yeah. I saw the Instagram video.
I'm tired of being humble. I'm tired of being humble. Oh man, that lasted all of about 3 months. He can't even be humble for longer than 3 months, and now he's back to being a catfish.
I'm curious to see how this relationship between Cam and Bill Belichick's going to work out. The big test will be to see if Belichick can get Cam to go back to using regular letters on social media.
I don't know if that's the battle he picks.
No?
No.
That's true. Just be good at quarterback. I don't care what your text looks like on social media.
Right. And I don't give a crap what you do in your post-game press conferences, just as long as like you pull a Super Bowl losing post-game press conference where you don't say anything and just walk out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want you to do, Cam.
The thing you don't want to do is say something that would be detrimental to the team.
Right. Or just anything that would piss off Bill, which is anything.
Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Cam would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This might work out well. And they don't have to really pay him anything.
No, his contract maxes out at $7.5 million.
That is wild.
An MVP 5 years ago.
An MVP 5 years ago, and they get him for a steal. I don't know how Cam Newton's agent doesn't at least get guarantees upwards of $20 million. If say everything goes well and he has goes back to MVP form, how can you not even incentivize the deal up to $20 million?
Because I don't want to, Brendan. And nobody else wants your client. So $7.5 million.
There you go.
That's it.
Wow. Nobody else willing to take it. Well, and it's not that no other team would be willing to do that. It's that this will be the best opportunity for him to showcase himself and get the best deal following on from this. Because even if he goes to LA, plays with the Chargers, and I don't think he has an opportunity to have as good of a season with the Chargers as necessarily he does under Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and the Chargers drafted their quote future in Herbert, and they're very interested in seeing him play terribly. So that'll be fun. But
I keep forgetting about the fact that Herbert went to LA.
Yeah, he surely did. That was an amazing draft pick.
Now, see, the smart thing would have been for the Rams to get Cam and then just bench Goff.
Yeah.
And keep him there and in the event that Cam gets hurt or stays
I can't believe Chicago didn't bring Cam in. He would have fit that Nagy offense really well.
Yeah.
With that D, they could have made some noise with Cam. Instead, like, how as a GM and Ryan Pace, do you sit down and go, yeah, $20 million for Nick Foles or 7.5 for Cam for a year?
One of these guys won the Super Bowl. One of them
lost the Super Bowl. No, I don't get that one for the life of me.
I don't know what Pace was thinking either, but
it's a sneaky good signing for, well, I guess not so sneaky to us, but a great signing for the Patriots. Not that I'm a big Cam fan. It's just he's good enough, right? With somebody like Belichick, and if he can have that defense play at a high level again, there's a chance they win that freaking division.
Yeah.
Like a solid chance.
I still think Buffalo is probably the favorite with their defense.
Yeah, I would think so too. How much do you think it pisses Brady off that they signed Cam?
You think it would bother him?
Yeah, he wants to see Belichick fail, so everybody goes, look, it was Tom Brady. He's the GOAT.
I know. We probably don't have our... See, now somebody was pointing this out in the Ring of Honor. They said, now, if the Patriots succeed under Cam Newton, then we can all say that Tom Brady was a system quarterback.
True. But, I mean, he had success in Carolina, so... And I don't look at Ron Rivera as being this amazing mastermind of offense.
Not Riverboat Ron, but who was the offensive coordinator? I felt like he was
Norv Turner.
Yeah, Norv Turner. He's been known to be an offensive mastermind over the years.
What year is it?
He's running essentially the triple option with Cam Newton. So
yeah,
it fits him perfectly.
Norv Turner, revolutionary offensive mastermind in 1993.
So there you go.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. Like, I don't like Cam. He bothers me, but it's going to be fun to watch him on the Patriots. I want to see that.
That will make the Patriots a lot more watchable this year. And that's the team coming to Seattle in week 2 for the home opener.
maybe I don't want to see that.
It made the week 2 game a little bit more interesting, didn't it?
Really did.
Although I don't think Belichick has won a game on the road at CenturyLink.
Yeah?
Not with the Patriots anyway.
No.
I haven't gone that far back into his other coaching, like when he was with the Browns, if they even came to CenturyLink. I haven't looked.
I was going to say, when did he start with the Pats, though?
Early 2000s, late 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah. And CenturyLink, what was the first year for CenturyLink?
2004.
So he would have had to have been with the Patriots to lose at CenturyLink.
Oh, right.
It didn't exist before then.
Bill Belichick winless at CenturyLink.
There we go.
Cam Newton has 1 win, though. So he makes their chances better immediately.
Well, even a blind scorer finds a note once in a while, you know?
All right, Adam, what do you say we move on and welcome some new members of the flock?
Hey, I like it.
Yeah. Hey, we did a bonus show this past week. So for people maybe saying, hey, we haven't heard from you guys in a while. Well, if you were a member of the flock, you would have gotten our bonus show here just about 7 to 10 days ago.
Yeah, and that's how we reward those folks who reward us back.
So that was a fun discussion around who we went division by division and talked about who we would pick to win each division if we were gambling folk, and we're not. So don't take gambling advice from us.
Ever.
But shout out to Santiago Rodriguez, who was our winner of Tiny Pieces of Seahawks Stuff, the Russell Wilson white jersey card. And we got it. You know what? Since we gave one away for June, Santiago being the winner, we should do one for July.
I like it. We'll do it for sure. Big congratulations to Santiago for sure. It's actually pretty cool. I think he's going to like his little tiny piece of Seahawks stuff. Yeah.
So we got, let's see. This has a CJ Procise and Russell Wilson. Do we give away tiny pieces of Seahawks stuff with Procise jersey and Russell Wilson jersey in the same one?
They will never touch. No.
Okay.
No.
They fortunately are spaced pretty far apart on the card. Okay, let's not give those away. So we have Russell Wilson, Immense Materials. This is number 115 of 199. And from 2017, Spectra Football.
Where did you get these?
I got a whole box of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
But each one's like a different brand.
Well, this is Panini.
Oh, it's still Panini.
Yeah. I think they have the market cornered on jersey cards.
Oh, I see. They're sandwich cards?
Yes. The enclosed player-worn material is guaranteed by Panini America.
All right.
So there you go. That'll be July giveaway. So go to tinypiecesofseahawksstuff.com, put Go Hawks in the comments, and do that by the end of July, and we'll pick a winner for next month.
Yeah. Be cool like Santiago.
GetInTheFlock.com to become a member of the flock. Ryan Schobel was in at $3. Said, I finally had enough guilt of being a freeloader. Love the podcast and Angry Adam in the offseason. Go Hawks.
Hey, there's one person. Like, yeah, I try not to be quite as grumpy in the offseason. But I had to yell about the Rams a little bit on this one.
Oh, yeah. No, this is the perfect time to get a little grumpy.
Yeah.
With I think overall we did pretty well of making it through the offseason. We had a couple weeks break here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've tried doing it. What was it? I think we started off doing once a month.
Yeah.
And then we went to every week.
Every other week.
We
went every week and then back to every other week. And then we tried to go back to every week.
And then it's kind of been every 10 days or so.
Yeah. About when I
on
can
average.
Pull it together. Exactly.
So we found a nice midpoint, I think, over these last couple seasons.
Yeah.
Enough for Pepper Horton to continue his 1212 membership and be a part of our Facebook group. Pepper came in with a one-time check for the year for $145.12.
It does make me rest a little easier knowing that we'll have Pepper for the whole year.
Yeah.
In the Ring of Honor. Because if we didn't, we'd be lacking a little bit of seasoning in the group. You know what I'm saying? Like
I like how we don't have to worry about Pepper month to month.
Yeah. I got a full year of Pepper on board.
We're locked in.
Yeah.
So I think, Pepper officially under contract until August of 2021.
But here's the thing, is the market has changed a little, Brandon. And if I know anything now, based on how contracts are done, if Pepper really wanted to show that he wanted to be a part of this team, he would send us 10 years worth of money.
See, the fact that Patrick Mahomes' deal had not been done yet before this came in, now Pepper knows. If you really want to commit, you gotta go the route of Mr. Zeus.
Right.
Well, the fact that we're still trying to get to 1,000 members of the flock, I think that maybe we can get some more people to go to getintheflock.com. I know people we teased this a while back, the fact that second checks would be coming to everybody in the United States if we got to 1,000. Still hasn't happened yet for the rest of the U.S. I feel like that may be coincidence or not.
I'm going to go with not. I mean, geez Louise, people. I mean, I get it that some of you weren't employed for a little while, whatever, boo-hoo. $1 a month, people. Come on.
We're ramping up toward the season. And another thing, I don't know, because it has been a tough off season, I have been putting out, I'm just going to let it out a little bit of a secret for people listening. If you download our Seahawkers podcast app, it's in the Google store, it's in the iOS store. All of our bonus shows are on there, available through the app.
Wow. I didn't know.
It's because I'm too cheap to pay for the extra hosting of the files.
Oh, okay.
To block them from non-paid access.
Right. So there's your workaround. You got to download our app.
Yeah.
But I know none of y'all will. You'll keep doing it through your regular app and everything, and then pay us money instead. And I like that business model, but
the thing is we are pretty open as far as whether you pay us or not pay us.
Well, there is that we have a, what is it? It's 2 years, right?
It's the 2-year freeloader grace period.
Freeloader grace period, which I think is generous.
I think so. 2 years. 2 years is a good grace period.
Yeah. If you drop off and stop listening to us before 2 years, I'm sure there's a number of people who have, then, it was never for you to donate to. But if you're still listening to this nonsense after 2 years, it's time.
It's time.
You know who you are. And you know what you did.
Yeah. Well, I know Ryan was getting tired of it, so it's nice to have Ryan in now. Ryan Schobel.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it. Welcome to Flock, buddy.
We do have somebody who is, I think, getting close to the end of his freeloader grace period. Before we get there, I do want to say, though, if there are people that want to help out the show, if you're going back into the archives, we're coming up on episode 300 here pretty soon. If you're going back into the archives, I want to know what some people's favorite clips are. And so if people put down the timestamp from that episode, email it to gohawks@seahawkerspodcast.com. I'm curious to know over these years what some of our what some people's favorite moments are from the show.
Oh, absolutely. That would be really fun because, believe it or not, both of us, I can say this for me for sure. I can't even remember week to week what I've said on the show, let alone shows 4, 5, 6 years ago, right?
The thing that reminded me of it is when Kofi did that video last year. It was 5 clips or so. And it was among some of his favorites. And it was fun going back and hearing some of the things that we talked about.
Right.
And that I'd forgotten about.
Yeah. I got to show that to my daughter and be like, look, see, there's a tribute video to my rants right here. Yeah. And see, she still doesn't think I'm cool. So that's fine.
Well, keeping in the theme with the show this week, Will L. from Hollywood comes in. So see, we got an LA listener.
Wow.
With the email. So Will says, "Hi, fellas. Just a quick note to say I am happily cleaning my face and shirt from the soup I spit out after taking a bite while listening to your podcast and laughing at Brandon's remark in episode 297 during Adam's rant about his RV's propane regulator breaking. The only regulator I know is Warren G." He says, and that was one of the most impressive run-on sentences I've ever written.
I'm impressed.
Yeah,
I'm impressed that he was the one who picked up your obscure rapper pun there. See, I still don't know who that is.
You don't know who
or why that joke works. I'm still clueless to it.
Oh, you don't remember
my middle-aged white guy showing.
That's true. It was not your musical interest in high school for sure. So
No.
yeah, Warren G. See, the thing that I missed out on was not also recognizing Nate Dogg, who was also in that song along with Warren G.
Yeah, I'm going to take your word on that.
I bet if you heard the song Regulate, you would go, oh, yeah, kind of. Well, maybe not.
Well, let's find out real quick.
Here, I got it pulled up right here.
Okay.
I won't be able to play it for copyright reasons.
Oh, I know. We'll just cut and come back.
Got to be handy with the steel, Adam.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely recognize that song. Now, I did not know. I'd never really heard that full-on intro, right?
Yeah.
That was in the YouTube video that we just watched that you guys didn't get to hear. But it starts out with, is that actually John Randall saying regulators mount up? Or is that just where he stole that from?
No, I think that's the actual a sample from the movie, right?
All right. Well, there we go. I know what we're talking about now.
Now, Adam finally gets the joke after for a 20-plus-year-old song.
I'm in.
Will goes on to say, anyway, thank you for the laugh. I'm just passing my first-year mark of listening free. I'll get a donation going soon as I get a little more freelance work going, and I'm not so conscious of every penny I'm spending. I love your show. Of the 3 Seahawks podcasts I listen to religiously, you guys crack me up the most. I gotta admit, like some of your funny bad reviews, there was a time when I wanted to smack Adam as the rants took off, and then I don't know what happened, but something clicked and I started laughing along with you guys. Might have been the episode you did with the Rams guys when Adam was drinking a lot of beer and just got saucy. Haha, still laughing at that. Brandon, I love how you sneak the jokes in the middle of it all, and your transitions have been on point. Anyway, stay safe and thank you. Will, founder of the Hollywood Seahawks at Tequila in Hollywood, California.
Oh, yeah, Will. All right. Well, appreciate the email for sure.
Yeah, hit up Will on Instagram, too. At Hollywood Seahawks.
I bet you that's a good follow. No, that's funny. It is like a disease. Like, it eventually will grow on you, some of the humor of the show. Yeah, Brandon, you are quite adept at just sneaking those little
I try and get them in there when I can.
Yeah.
Well, we got in some members of the flock. We got in, I think, all of the questions that we had that came in from our Ring of Honor members. Maybe one of my favorite ones that we didn't quite get to. Jason Bonnert says, is Goff the worst or second to worst quarterback in the division? But then Dustin Mock on Twitter, at CornisGUD1, says, how do the Rams feel about having the 5th best quarterback in the NFC West as their starter?
Does he have Geno above him?
I'm kind of curious who would be.
Or is he a Nick Mullins fan?
It could be Mullins or Geno. I feel like those
are your two guys, right?
Yeah, because who's backing up
Kyler?
Yeah, who's backing up Kyler?
I honestly have no idea. That's interesting. Why haven't I not thought about that?
Because that dude's not playing.
Oh, duh. How do we not remember this? Because we should, because freaking this guy
for Seattle.
Yeah, and he came out and he torched us a little bit last year. Freaking Brett Hundley.
Well, Brett Hundley is not better than Goff.
Are we sure?
I think Goff is the 4th best quarterback. I'm not going to. I know Dustin Mock is high on whoever the 4th one is in his mind.
I like Mullen, man.
It probably is Mullins.
I think he's a hell of a player.
You think he's better than Garoppolo?
Yes, I do. Yes, I firmly believe that.
Then that might have to. Okay, but is Goff better than Garoppolo?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not. Maybe? I don't know. That's really tough.
So maybe Goff is the 4th best, because you would rather have Kyler than Goff, right?
Yes.
All right. We've nailed it then.
Okay.
Dustin is correct. In terms of your list, Adam.
Well, is there another list?
Yeah, I would put Goff at 4th best. What do you say we move on to do better and better at life?
All right, man. My do better this week is for every manufacturer that produces a pickup truck. Because they're screwing this up. They're screwing it up. I just had to go through the experience of shopping for a used pickup this last weekend because my little RV that likes to fall apart is too heavy for my little Jeep Patriot to tow it. So like, I got to find something better to tow that around during COVID here while I'm traveling around working, right? So I don't have to stay in hotel rooms.
Uh-huh.
But I had a very simple freaking request because I'm a simple guy. I just wanted a manual transmission. And if I could, roll down windows. No, not just that the window rolls down, but it's a hand crank, like it used to be. Not all that stupid electronic crap that always freaking breaks every single time. Okay. So I begin my shopping spree to go out and find this mystery truck, right? Like it's got to exist.
Yeah.
They got to be out there. I mean, I could do with the crappy automatic roll down window. That's fine. I could do power windows. It's stupid, but I can deal with it, even though it will break on me because I always do. But the manual, that is a deal breaker for me. It's got to be a manual transmission. I want the control. It never breaks. I mean, they're better in 1,000 ways. And you feel like a real man when you drive a manual in a truck. It just feels better. Okay. You know what I found out there, Brandon?
It's probably pretty hard to find.
Nearly catfish impossible. Okay. I go to dealership after dealership, private party after private party on Craigslist for days and days and days. Looking here, looking in Seattle, looking in Salt Lake, looking in Redding, California, looking in Denver, looking all over the Western United States. Hell, I would have driven to catfish Mars to get a manual transmission. And what every person tells me everywhere when I talk to them on the phone is, oh, those are hard to find. The second we get one, they're gone in an instant.
So why don't they make more?
This is my point, and this is why every truck manufacturer out there is screwing it up. There is clearly an underserved market for people who just want a simple catfish truck that doesn't cost $70,000 that gets the job done, okay? Bring back the manual. Bring back crank down windows. Get the screen out of the middle of my freaking car. Every truck manufacturer in the world, do better.
If I had $70,000 to spend on a truck, I've been looking at this Nikola Badger. Have you seen these yet?
Yeah, I have.
I bet they're not manual.
Nope, most certainly not.
And I bet they have power windows.
I'm going to go with yes.
And I bet they have a giant freaking screen on the console too.
Yeah, I mean, that's where these electric cars are going. And look, I get that, when it all turns to electric and that's what we're all driving, a manual transmission is no longer a thing. Like, I get that. There's not a transmission with an electric motor.
Yeah.
It's just the motor accelerating and decelerating. I understand that. But right now, we're still burning dinosaur juice, okay? And so I want a truck that I control the gears on. That's it. That's all. It's not too much to ask. Whatever manufacturer figures this out and starts legitimately making a nice truck, a nice, simple, reliable truck with a manual and cranks them out, just keep getting them checks. Keep getting them checks.
The Badger is the future, Adam.
I like it.
It looks tough, too.
I like the Cybertruck, too, short of the way it looks.
It's not going to look like that when it's out. Is it?
Yes, it is.
What?
Yes, that's what they're doing.
No.
It's going to be slightly narrower, I think you said. But, I mean, the basic styling is all the same.
I guess I do see a tailgate on it.
Yeah, and it has like kind of it's got cool features.
It's too pointy.
Yeah, I just don't want to drive something that looks like it's out of Tron.
It looks like a DeLorean on bigger wheels.
It's made out of stainless. I mean, that's actually cool. Like, it has cool features, but...
Yeah, I like how the tailgate kind of turns into a whole ramp thing, too.
Yeah, and it all, like, lowers down. You can just drive your crap up in there. That's nice.
Sorry you had such a hard time. I'm glad you're in the club now, though. You're a truck guy.
Well, I'm back to being a truck guy, I guess. The last time I owned a truck was I was 17.
That doesn't count, because you weren't even a guy.
I was man-ish.
My do better this week. I'm keeping with the Rams theme, even in my do better.
Okay.
So my do better this week is for ESPN's NFC West reporters, because they had a vote for the all-decade team.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to know why Todd Gurley is on this list. I understand that you have to have 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. Running back Todd Gurley made one of the 11 players on the list of offense for the decade. And I have a problem with this.
Yeah, you should have a problem with that.
A lot of this makes a lot of sense to me. You look at the offensive line, Joe Staley, Mike Iupati, who played for 3 different teams in the decade, all NFC West teams. You got Max Unger at center, Roger Saffold for the Rams, Russell Okung, they have him at right tackle, opposite of Joe Staley. So those names make sense. Tight end, George Kittle. There's just not a whole lot to choose from in terms of tight ends. I think maybe you're going Jimmy Graham if it's not George Kittle.
Yeah.
And wide receivers, you got Doug Baldwin, Larry Fitzgerald. That makes a lot of sense. Marshawn Lynch, I'm glad that at least they went 2 running backs deep, and they do have Russell Wilson at quarterback and Marshawn in the prime running back position. But Todd Gurley doesn't even belong on this list. Like, you pick another tight end, you pick a 6th offensive lineman, you pick a 3rd wide receiver.
No. You could choose another back that was in the division during that decade that is a better running back than him. His name's Frank Gore.
It's Frank Gore. Although, I mean, in terms of single seasons, Gore never had the type of back-to-back seasons that Gurley had.
Okay.
But Gurley had 2 good years.
Hold on. What were Todd Gurley's rushing totals those 2 good years?
Well, rushing totals, he was probably around 1,300 yards, but he eclipsed 2,000 all-purpose yards one of those years, and Gore never came close to that.
Well, okay, but here's what I do know. I do know that Todd Gurley, he had 2 seasons of decent running, 1,300 yards and 1,251 yards, right?
Yeah.
Frank Gore, in the decade, he had 4 years in the division of over 1,000 yards rushing.
Oh, yeah.
Just in that decade, let alone the decade previous, let alone doing it for another team out of the division after that.
If you're going to go 2 running backs, I think Frank Gore deserves to be the number 2 guy. He is probably going to be in the Hall of Fame based on his longevity. Todd Gurley is not going to be in the Hall of Fame. He will be out of the league probably in 2 years. And so for the NFC West reporters to put Todd Gurley on this list among guys who actually deserve to be on this list, do better.
I agree, man. That's egregious. That is egregious.
The Rams with Todd Gurley have 4 players out of the 25 players on this list.
Feels about right. It's mostly Hawks and Niners, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And mainly Niners from the beginning of the decade.
Right. Yeah, your 2 linebackers. Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman made the list.
You have Willis above Wags? I don't think so.
Oh, no. It was Bobby Wagner, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Patrick Willis was so good. It's hard for me with KJ not being on this list.
I get it, but I mean, you could honestly flip a coin between him and Bowman. Both really outstanding players.
Yeah. And the only reason KJ I'm thinking is because he's been here the entire decade.
Yeah.
But Willis,
what's the hold up with Patrick Willis, Brandon?
Because so little of the decade he was in.
How many years did he play in the teens?
He played until 2014.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's tough looking at the secondary. Sherman, Thomas, Chancellor.
Yeah. What team do they attribute Sherman to?
Both. Because it's NFC West.
Who do they have at right corner?
Patrick Peterson.
Oh, that makes sense.
Cardinals have the bookend defensive ends with Chandler Jones and Calais Campbell.
How did Chandler Jones make this freaking list?
Everybody's high on Chandler Jones.
Oh my gosh, I don't get it.
Who would you put on at defensive end ahead of Chandler Jones?
Pick any guy who started more than 4 years in the NFC West.
Yeah.
Is Mike Bennett on the list? Do they have him as an interior guy?
No, it's Aaron Donald and Justin Smith are the 2 interior guys.
Oh, well, then screw that. That's right, easy right there. Mike Bennett over Jones.
Aaron Donald, Roger Saffold, Johnny Hecker, the 3 guys deserving of being on this list.
Yeah, for sure. Who's the kicker?
Hauschka.
All right.
I think that's okay.
Yep.
You got Tyler Lockett as the kick returner, punt returner.
Okay.
So there you go.
Well, that was a fun exercise. We need football to start.
Yeah, we do.
All right, man. My better at life than Skip Bayless this week is for our buddy Chris Johnson, married to our friend Shanna. We rolled over to Spokane to go and look at trucks impromptu. We didn't even really plan on calling him, but I ended up calling him and turned into a really fun weekend. They hosted. Chris worked at a dealership as a service guy, stumbled across the truck that I eventually ended up buying. It was everything that I hoped and dreamed for. They made it all easy. They made it fun. They were awesome hosts. just really appreciate those guys. So Chris Johnson, Shannon Johnson, Better at Life, Skip Bayless.
Helped your weekend, helped you become truck guy. I like it.
Yeah.
My Better at Life this week, closing it off again, Rams themed. Hard Knocks is set to film both the Los Angeles Chargers and the Los Angeles Rams coming up, leading up toward the season.
Oh, man.
Even with everything going on, plans are still moving forward for them to film, which I think is great. Because think back to, what was it, 2016, when the Rams were on Hard Knocks? Think of the gems that we got out of that. We got Jared Goff not knowing where the sun rises or sets. We got William Haynes talking about how he believed in mermaids, but thought that the dinosaurs were created by the government.
Right.
But now Goff is still there. Now we have the added dynamic of Jalen Ramsey as part of the team.
Yeah.
Plus, Adam, we get the added degree of difficulty of the team having to deal with all of the NFL rules around trying to keep players distance or whatever rules are going to be in place for the preseason.
Right.
We're going to get to see on camera them having to deal with all this. And with some teams, they're just going to do the best they can. But for the Rams and Chargers, and especially for the Rams, this is going to be on video. So anything that they do wrong and makes it to air, they're going to get crushed for.
Love it.
So that, along with the fact that the last time the Rams were on Hard Knocks, it led up to a season that was so bad for the Rams that Jeff Fisher didn't even make it until the end of the season before he was fired. I don't expect that McVay is going to get fired this year, but I think this could be the catalyst for another terrible season for the Rams. And so, for Hard Knocks, moving forward with their plan to make the show happen, that entire crew, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Yeah, I like it. They could expose the frat boy for who he is. That'd be fun. And McVay. And yeah, let us not forget that year that they were last on. That was the year that Richard Sherman blew Jared Goff off the field in a hit. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
That was the one that John Fossil coached that game.
Yeah. Yep.
Right before, or it was immediately after Fisher being fired.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about him anymore. He gone.
So Fisher is gone. Fossil is gone. And now McVay is next on the list.
Yep. Followed shortly after that by all of the LA Rams fan base dignity.
And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.